Hello and welcome to this introduction to demand response by the FLEXCoop project. The FLEXCoop project is a Horizon 2020 project that is financed by the European Union, and we're aiming at building demand response tools for energy cooperatives. Today we're just gonna go through the core concept of this project, which is demand response. So this is the first one of a set of two videos. Today we'll explore just the concept, and on the next video we'll further deep dive into the concepts of implicit demand response and explicit demand response. Okay, so first comment, demand response is old. It exists since the early times of our electric system. It has been based on agreements between industrial consumers and energy utilities. At that time, energy utilities were integrated entities, and they would propose to their biggest consumers agreements to stop their processes, to stop consuming in order to alleviate the network, should it be because there's not enough generation or there's not enough transport capacity. So this would just be based on the available technology, which at that time was phone line. And in case of missing capacity, the utility will call the energy intensive consumer to trigger consumption reduction. That's called manual demand response, in opposition to what exists now as automatic demand response. So the new technology between this previous form of demand response and today's forms of demand response is the emergence of new information and communication technologies. This has enabled automatization and the participation of smaller loads. So basically, the ability through the internet and through automation in general to connect processes to a single entity, which will play the role of intermediate and who's known as the aggregator, has enabled a new set of demand response based on aggregation of some smaller loads. So this already exists at the small industrial level, also what we call the tertiary sector, commercial buildings, hospital, and this type of administration, for example. And also more and more the emerging sector of residential consumers together with electric vehicle and home batteries. So in this configuration, the aggregator has a core role and is the intermediate of demand response. And this is important because in the context of energy transition, the ability to master demand response is also a way to find decarbonized resources to balance the grid and to react real time to the availability or scarcity of generation. A small illustration of the dynamic at stake in the demand response market. So this has been a recent acquisition in the sector. Already 8 years ago, Energy Pool, a successful aggregator of industrial load in France, has been bought by Schneider Electric. That was in 2010. But more recently, the company that was known as number 2 in the demand response market, Enanoc, a US company, has been bought by the Italian utility Enel in 2017 for an amount of $250 million. And the same year, Restore, which is still active, in the industrial and commercial sectors, has been bought by the British utility Centrica, which also owns British Gas, for $70 million. So, well, this illustrates that big utilities are now ready to invest significant amounts of money, and that this sector has now triggers important appetite. Now, a look into the definition provided by the European Commission in the draft electricity directive that is now being discussed in Brussels. In this document, demand response is defined as such, and we'll go through the definition. It is the change of electricity load by final customer from their normal or current consumption patterns. So this just means that a consumer that is canceling his consumption or delaying it or anticipating it, changing in any way his consumption, may participate in demand response. This is in response to market signals, and this means that there's no such a thing as mandatory demand response. It's always a service, and a service that is somehow remunerated. And this includes time variable electricity prices, known as implicit demand response, so dynamic prices, or incentive payment, or in response to acceptance of the final customer's bid. And this is called explicit demand response. This is done alone, the consumer alone, or through aggregation with the intermediation of an aggregator, in order to sell demand reduction or increase at a price in organized market. Well, I hope this clarifies the concept. This is just an overview of the time horizons in system operations. So on the left hand, you see the operations in the electric system in terms of years. On the right hand, in terms of minutes, just before real-time delivery of electricity. So just on the demand side, on the consumer side, the first way to act on the electric system would be energy efficiency. By just decreasing the need in energy of a given consumer, you would in the same way reduce the need in infrastructure and generation capacity. This would affect the system planning. Looking at price-based demand response, also known as implicit demand response, you would have this set of relevant schemes. Maybe the most well-known is the time of use rates. That's basically the night or day tariffs, also known as blue tariffs or white tariffs in some countries. And basically, yes, this would enable utilities to know to adapt the consumer profile, or to impact the consumer profile in order to flatten the consumption curve, and affect the operational planning months ahead, and to avoid peaks, for example. So this has been in place for years, and it doesn't require a smart meter or such a thing. It is available already today with classic or conventional meter material. A more recent scheme for implicit demand response would be day-ahead hourly pricing. These are energy tariffs which would be based on the day-ahead wholesale prices, so reflecting like the real time or close to real time day-ahead value of electricity on the wholesale market, and would enable consumer to to adapt to this availability or scarcity of generation. Looking at explicit demand response on the other side, maybe the best known would be interruptible programs. Basically, these have been available, as I said, to industrial consumers for many years, and it would have still consists, in big consumers to reduce their load, to be available first and to reduce when requested in exchange of better deal on their grid fees mostly. So these are contracts mostly with customer connected at the TSO level, at the high voltage level, and they would have a discount on their transport fees through their contract with the TSO. Again, these are pretty old now. More recent is the ability for consumers to participate into ancillary services, into the balancing market, and you can see that the commitment is months ahead, but the dispatch happens minutes before, just in the time frame of the balancing market. Well, that was a short introduction on demand response. I hope this clarified a little bit the concept, and I will see you again or meet you again in the next video, where we will further deep dive into implicit and explicit demand response.